Student and faculty members gathered in the CoLab to hear a discussion about Confederate monuments and statues. We also talked to history professor Jim Likert to find out what they discussed.
Today, three of my colleagues joined me in a panel discussion about recent controversies related to the removals of Confederate monuments and controversies that have erupted over the usage of the Confederate flag. So what we talked about today, I gave a very broad overview of what historians agree the causes of the Civil War were. I talked about the lost cause, which is the term that describes the way the history of the war was rewritten in the early 20th century, and talked about the proliferation of when these monuments were built in the early 1900s. My colleague Ben Clark talked about the usage of the Confederate flag through the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, particularly as a reaction to the Black Civil Rights Movement. Contrary to what a lot of people believe, the rebel flag really makes its appearance for the first time in the 1950s as a symbol of white resistance to efforts to attain black equality.
We also talked to history professor Ty Edwards.
And then I ended with the real problem is unfortunately a lot of people don't know the difference between historical study and symbols of history like mascots, like Confederate memorials. And if we could do a better job of educating people on historical events and history in general, then these symbols would have less power and might be less controversial because we'd have more general knowledge about these topics.
For JCAT TV, I'm Kayla McCoy Hollinger.